What's up, y'all? Welcome back to my studio. So we're going to be doing an article talking about Raw remaining PG during the Netflix era in 2025. And how do I feel about it? We're going to talk about that towards the end of the video. But before we get into this, like, comment, subscribe, and follow me on all social media platforms. So let's get to it. So here's my thoughts on this idea of them staying family friendly, PG, remaining in the Netflix era going into 2025. I can see some truth to that. Is the reason why they're doing this in the first place is because number one, it brings up the best storylines. You know what I'm saying? In my honest opinion, because ever since Triple H taken over in 2022, you kind of notice the change within the story, within the product. It's more agier. It's more real. They're using blood. They're using like profanity language, and they're swearing a lot for the most part, and that's what I like. Like, in order to sell and tell a good story, you need to have blood, you need to swear, you need to curse sometimes. You know, NXT is pretty much TV 14 now. And there was a clip of one of the wrestlers using the N-word by accident, but she pretty much said it anyway. But guess what? She's going viral on YouTube, social media, because she said the word nigga on NXT. So it's pretty much you know, goes without saying that just because another company is TV 14 doesn't mean that WWE is TV 14 as far as like NXT goes. You know what I'm saying? But Raw and SmackDown are just PG. But they can pretty much level up the violence and age it up their products. Like they've been doing. You know what I'm saying? Like look at the Hell in a Cell match with Drew McIntyre and CM Punk, for example. That was like one of the bloodiest matches I've seen in 2024, which is by far one of their best matches in WWE history. So even if they're going to the Netflix era, they can still do some TV 14 stuff without being actually TV 14. So for everybody that was expecting, you know, to see, you know, bra and panties matches like in the Attitude Era, like we really don't need that shit anymore because, you know what I'm saying, that's old and gone. You know what I'm saying? We really don't need to see, you know, a lot of stuff that can make horny simps go crazy. Like they did with Trish Stratus and all the other stuff that happened in the Ruthless Aggression era and the Attitude Era. Like, nobody wants to see bra and panties matches. I don't. And I don't like how they portray women in the Attitude Era as, you know, hoes, you know, 304s, wearing bikinis, bra and panties. You know, I hate the fact that at some point when Sable, during the 1998 pay-per-view, I don't know if it was Over the Edge or Unforgiven, when she stripped naked, handprints all over her titties and stuff, like, nobody wants to see that. I don't know, I'm sounding like a snowflake, but I'm just saying, like, as a man, you know, I don't want to see that on a, you know, wrestling stuff. Like, I don't like seeing women being betrayed like that. Except nowadays, you know, you have social media where you have OnlyFans that are making mad money selling themselves on the internet. So let's go ahead and dive into this article. WWE and Netflix are the perfect match. The industry-leading platforms at the peak of their powers are set to join forces in 2025 like Grace and Frankie. On Tuesday, December 3rd, 2024, the day before Wednesday, WWE and Netflix continuing to hype WWE Raw's forthcoming rollout on weekly live streaming TV. This would be the first for both WWE and Netflix. Stranger things have happened live on Netflix, like last month's massive yet polarizing Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson. Yeah, don't even get me started on that fight because that was just completely ass in my opinion, because you heard me talk about it. Everybody is talking about that match, so we're not going to talk about that. As of Orange is the new black, Netflix is the new content king of pro wrestling. The initial WWE to Netflix announcement was so big, it had no choice but to include TKO board member The Rock. At Tuesday's Netflix WWE panel, Triple H himself, father of the Triple H era, deem 2025 and beyond as the Netflix era. Longtime WWE commentary Michael Cole hosted an informative Q&A about WWE's partnership with Netflix. The panel featured key executives behind WWE's biggest partnership yet, at the Dome in Inglewood. Those longing for an Asia product on Netflix where censorship often goes to die will have to wait. So basically, he's saying that the censoring part on Netflix will probably die in 2025 because let's talk about the censorship on SmackDown, for example. Every time when they swear, they black out the screen for the most part has become the most lowest points in SmackDown Fox's history because I don't care who's throwing up signs or wearing some inappropriate language. Stop blacking out the screens all the time because that's what really killing your product in the first place. And that's why I've always said that I stopped watching SmackDown because of two things. It sucks on Fox and the blackouts. That's why I prefer Raw. So SmackDown has been doing pretty good on USA so far. No censoring, when the crowd chanting, appropriate stuff. But as far as like the blackout goes, there's not a lot of that happen on SmackDown on USA so far. So yeah, I give them that. But I think on Netflix in 2025, they're not going to be doing any more censoring as far as like them chanting F Solo, like like, you know what I'm saying? So at least we're not going to see all of that censoring stuff on Netflix next January, basically. It turns out that my expectations in watching wrestling with my family isn't that unusual. While singing the WWE's praises, Raw has been a TV PG show for more than 15 years, and they have a huge multi-generational fan base. Multi-generational is go for family friendly for Netflix brass. That multi-generational demo will be key to WWE reaching its bigger audience possible while airing on its largest platform to date. Okay, so here's my thoughts on this part. Even though I still hate the PG product, still being PG as far as like them not doing certain things, but I get it. You know what I'm saying? When Vince McMahon was running WWE at the time when the show went PG, you started to notice how bad the product has gotten throughout the years. Especially 2009 when they started bringing in celebrity guests, including the Sesame Street cast. Like, who the hell does that? Like, nobody wants to see, puppets in WWE TV. And that's when the show got really stupid because of Vince McMahon's antics of being family friendly to child family friendly. Like, the product got so bad to the point where it became too childish. And that's why a lot of us stopped watching Raw and SmackDown altogether because of Vince McMahon. Because he wants his way, all the time. And it didn't work. He wants his cake and eating too. But all of the allegations started coming out, about him came true. And that's why he backed out. So it was no more Vince's era. When Triple H took over, you started to notice that the product has slowly gotten better since Triple H has taken over. Yes, he's still not the perfect booker as far as like bad matches goes, but when you think about it, you've seen a lot of edgier stuff happen since the build up to WrestleMania 40 this year when The Rock came back. Okay, so here's my overall thoughts on this because at first, I feel like to me that when Triple H took over WWE, I personally feel like to me that this company has gotten better since he's taken over. Yes, he's not perfect in terms of like bookings and horrible matches, bad segments or whatever though, but at least he's admit some accountability for it. But to be honest with you, I feel like to me, in my humble opinion, you don't always have to go TV 14 in order to change certain things about your product. I mean, look at the Attitude Era in 1998 through 97 when the product was starting to get edgier. The logos changed, the product has changed, and yet they were still a PG show. I mean, that's pretty much what's happening with the Triple H in the Netflix era in 2025. So it's possible that what you can do is continue to edgy up your product. So that way you can get families, kids, teenagers, and adults more engaged in investing in your product. You know, it doesn't always have to be rated R or X rated just because you're going to a Netflix program. Like, that's not how life works. You know what I'm saying? So I understand that they're staying family friendly. You know, as long as they're continuing to tell stories and evolving the product and giving the fans what they really want, that's really all that matters. And I get it. Yes, I don't like that they're still being PG, but it's a business. It is what it is. As long as they're continuing to just give the fans what they want and stop being selfish and thinking about themselves all the time, then yes, sign me up. Okay, so I want to get to what Triple H said, and yeah, for sure. I think it's what you want and expect out of WWE. It's not pushing anybody away from what they want. It's a safe place for families, for kids, for anybody to be able to view the programming. That will not change. And so basically what he's basically saying that is it's not going to be TV 14, but what we can do is edgier up the product, you know, as far as like pushing the inflow, you know, like say if you're making somebody bleed or busting somebody open, nose bleed, mouth bleed, head bleed, you know, swearing a lot and doing some TV 14 stuff, that can all be done in the PG era. Like, for instance, look at what happened with WWF back in 97 and 98 when the product was still PG at the time. Yet they're still doing some edgier, you know, bleeding on TV, swearing, Stone Cold, throwing his middle finger up, you know, and women stripping naked, half naked on TV while being censored at the same time. You can still do that right now, but it has to be a certain point of time where that's not going to be, you know, censored. And so for me, I kind of understand why, you know, they're staying family friendly, but you could pretty much elevate the product of being, you know, edgier. You don't have to be PG just because there's kids involved. Kids know about the TV 14 X-rated stuff. You know, they've seen movies with adults, with their families, so they know more than we do. Kids are not dumb. You don't have to insult their intelligence all the time. Food for thought. We're not changing the ratings of our programming, said Nick Khan. There's some online chatter about, oh, it's going to be X-rated for us old folks, X-rated. That's definitely not happening. It's a family-friendly, multi-generational, advertiser family-friendly programming. It's going to stay that way. WWE's Attitude Era was the promotion's most successful period of the popularity standpoint. Michael Cole wasted little time discussing this moment in the time during his opening remarks. But Cole's comment about the Attitude Era was only a talking point in a larger discussion of WWE's very lucrative evolution. Now, there's a part of me that thinks that maybe he's just capping, but at the same time, this might be some truth to it, though. Only reason why they went to the Attitude Era route because WCW was whooping the brakes out of WWF at the time in the late 90s in terms like, you know, ratings goes. When WCW was really dominating WWF at the time in 97, but once 98 and 99 rolled around, that's when the company went down the tubes and WWF was just beating them in ratings each and every episode. Yes, some episodes were not good, but in 99 until 2001, that's when they really destroyed WCW and brought them out of business. So at the end of the day, the Attitude Era, in my opinion, will always be a legendary era because it created so many iconic moments. But let's not go without saying about the Ruthless Aggression Era either, because that era alone also created some iconic moments, like the rivalry with Randy Orton and Undertaker, Batista and Undertaker, John Cena versus JBL, you know, Eddie Guerrero versus Brock Lesnar. Like, the list goes on and on and on. So, if they can do that in the Netflix era, can you honestly imagine the amount of ratings that will go up? Just think about it. WWE is currently at its in its biggest financial period ever. Through massive television deals, sponsorships, and record-breaking live gigs, WWE has announced 63 sellouts in 2024. At WWE Survivor Series post-show this past weekend, Triple H noted the promotion set an all-time North American arena gate record inside Vancouver's Rogers Arena with almost 18,000 tickets sold for Survivor Series. WWE's Netflix panel was filled with statistics about WWE's global reach, both in person and on social media. To some, multi-generational would be the dirty word that kills all hope of WWE's reintroducing Attitude Era in 2025. But financially and creatively, WWE has never been better without it. And I agree. You know, I feel like if it wasn't for the Attitude Era, there wouldn't be any Stone Cold, Undertaker, The Rock, Triple H, Vince McMahon, D-Generation Next, you know, the McMahon Helmsley regime, like among others. But I feel like nowadays you could pretty much do all of that again if done right. So I personally believe that what Triple H is trying to do is to build a foundation for his era in the WWE, and I believe he's been doing it right ever since. I mean, when you look at Survivor Series War Games 2024, you can see how much the product has changed throughout the years since Vince McMahon's absent from WWE. Like, it's gotten better over time, and it's one of the main reasons why a lot of us have started watching WWE again because of Triple H, of what they can provide. As popular as it was, many fans romanticized the Attitude Era as peak TV in WWE. As WWE cinema has shown, it was far from it. The Attitude Era succeeded on the backs of all-time great Stone Cold Steve Austin and The Rock, with Vince McMahon a dominatory force both behind the scenes and on camera. But when Austin wasn't cracking beers and The Rock wasn't raising the people's eyebrow, the Attitude Era was mostly filled with crash TV and outdated storylines that aged like milk by the beginning of the Ruthless Aggression Era. I disagree with that part because, like I said, Stone Cold Steve Austin, The Rock, and Triple H and Undertaker, Mankind made the Attitude Era for what it is today. So I disagree with the part where you says that the outdated storyline aged like milk, heading into the Ruthless Aggression Era. I disagree. That's just my opinion. Monday's TV PG broadcast of a WWE Raw is a perfect example of WWE succeeding in spite of its family-friendly rating. In fact, it's easy to argue that they're succeeding because of it. Raw after Survivor Series featured a well-thought-out riff involving CM Punk, Seth Rollins, and Sami Zayn, and weave no less than a decade of WWE storytelling into one powerful segment. The show became even more harrowing with heartbreaking, talking about the New Day turning heel for the first time. You know, speaking of the New Day, I had to do a reaction on TikTok because I had to remove some of my stuff from my phone because I was running out of storage, unfortunately. But yeah, that segment alone with the New Day turning heel and kicking Big E out of the group was not only satisfying, but I really feel like, to me, it was needed. Because number one, Raw is heading towards the Netflix era in 2025, so it makes sense. You know what I'm saying? With Netflix, I feel like you have the freedom of doing whatever you want. You know, so I've been looking forward to it when I watch it on my phone. Not the Netflix app, but the other streaming platforms where you can watch it. If not, then I could just watch it the next day when it shows up. So yeah, the New Day turning heel was definitely needed. You know what I'm saying? Thank God they actually did that. A Raw that ended with a surprise appearance for Drew McIntyre was heavy on emotion and light on our skinny. Ironically, WWE's product is more mature than ever in its pursuit of appealing to parents and children. And you know what? All of that could have been done for Power Rangers if they didn't back out because of Hasbro's BS of being cheap and not throwing in money in their TV shows. I'm just saying. Because what WWE is doing in 2025 is something that Hasbro should have been doing in 2024. But that's unfortunate. Cursing is easy. Half naked women wrestling for no reason is easy. Blood and guts are easy. But being edgy for the sake of being edgy is a short-term road to long-term problems. I don't want people to use Netflix as a crutch to say the F word, say CM Punk in an interview with Jimmy. I feel like immediately where everybody goes, we're going to get to swear. No. If anybody swears, it doesn't mean anything. If anybody is throwing the bird, it doesn't mean anything. If every show someone is bleeding and they fall off the building, it doesn't mean anything. The only thing that exists, what that excites me about Netflix is what should excite everybody about Netflix. We're going to be seen by billions more people. Is, yeah. You know what? CM Punk is right though, you know what I'm saying? No, actually, he's right and wrong. What he's right about is the fans watching Raw on Netflix by the time it airs in 2025 live. That's when the show is going to get lit. The numbers are going to blow up. The numbers are going to do numbers. The ratings are going to like skyrocket like crazy. And the storylines are going to be really, really good to see. However, though, what he's wrong about is bleeding, swearing. If somebody jumps off the building for a storyline, it doesn't mean anything. Yes, it does. It means that you're telling good stories. Like, in order for you to tell good stories to be development, you have to swear and bleed. That's what makes good TV. Though, in a PG era, you get edgy up, but still, you have to. Otherwise, if it's not going to be that, then the product is going to be trash. So, that's the only thing I have to disagree with Punk in this one. But he's not wrong, though. I'm just saying. I think Netflix is going to do a great job integrating the wrestling fan base with the Netflix fan base. WWE's Women's Tag Team Champion Bianca Belair told me in an interview, well, yeah, in a contest, something like that, I'm super excited to be able to capitalize on that huge audience. People scroll through Netflix all the time and see something that are not familiar with and decide they want to watch it. I do that all the time, so I'm excited for the fans who have Netflix on to see WWE and not know much about it. It's an opportunity for integration. So Bianca Belair is excited about it, so she's cool with it, just like I am. The presence of The Rock, an exception to the family-friendly rule in WrestleMania season, will likely give away to more energy, to more edgy storylines, with The Rock being fast and loose with this language on TV, sure, but as WWE evolves, an already red hot product will continue to rely on cinema and creativity to tell the story, while leaving most of the nostalgia attitude behind. Bullcrap! Stop the cap. You see, I was rocking with you for this for a moment with this article, but nah. The attitude era will always live on. I don't know what you're trying to say. You're trying to say that you hate the Attitude Era because it was one that really made WWE fans of who they are today. So the fact that you said that you want to leave the nostalgia Attitude Era behind, bullcrap. You're still showing some Attitude Era moments in the PG era. Blood being shown, people swearing all the time, The Rock bringing the edginess. Like, stop the cap. Like, what are you talking about? No. And to think that I was rocking with you for a moment before you decided to say that bull crap in the last minute during the article. At the end of the day, I will always support WWE, even if they're going, well, they're still remaining PG and, you know, being family friendly. That's business. I understand that. But if they continue to do the stuff like this in 2024, like they're doing now, like being edgy, then you got yourself a product on WWE Raw on Netflix. But the fact that you said that You want to leave the nostalgia, attitude era behind? You don't have to. I mean, yes, the product has gotten better since it went PG. Now that Triple H is taking over, yes, this is how you're supposed to make a wrestling product while being edgy. When Vince McMahon did it, it was bad. It was too friendly. It was too childish. It got boring. It got stupid. But when Triple H is doing it, he did it right. He gave us what we want. He gave us good matches. Banger after banger after banger. And sometimes not so great, but guess what? He still gave us good product. At the end of the day, the only thing I gotta say is that Raw on Netflix in 2025 is finna go hard. Yes, it's still family friendly, but guess what? It's part of business, and I understand completely. But when you think about it, it kind of makes sense though. And like I said, just because it's going to Netflix doesn't mean that it has to be X-rated, TV-14, because y'all want to see some bra and panties matches. If you want to see that, watch porn. But you're not going to get that in WWE. So, link to the article will be down below. I'm going to holler at y'all.